less is more. This is especially true when it comes to jewelry. Beautifully crafted, elegant, and yet affordable jewelry. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of Be Your Own Boss. Our guest this week is Hiral Krupesh, the founder of Carat Craft. Carat Craft is a jewelry brand well known for its elegant designs that resonate with a woman's core values of independence, boldness, and self love. Hiral, thank you so much for taking our time and joining us here on the Be Your Own Boss podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sachin. Thanks for having me.
Hiral, so like we always do on the show, let's start with your story here, your journey right from the beginning. So tell us about your childhood. Where were you born? Tell us about your parents, your siblings, and your childhood memories.
Oh, absolutely. Firstly, I think love the show Be Your Own Boss. I think I wouldn't have thought that I would be my own boss, but today the time is different. So I'm born and brought up here in Dubai. I have lived all my life in Dubai. I'm a Dubai kid, and we love our comfort. We don't want to step out from our comfort zone, and we don't want to do something different because I think the place is such that when you're born and brought up over here, you have your family. My parents have their own business over here. My dad's into jewelry manufacturing. So I think the childhood was very straightforward. Like I did my schooling over here, I did my college here as well, and then I joined the corporate life. I was there for about 7 years, very very comfortable in the job that I was, and I thought accounts would be my stream to kind of go forward with. So I've done my BA in accounts and finance, and I've been a finance student most of the phase of my life. But business came in very much later, and I think it's been an incredible journey since. I have two younger brothers as well, and I'm married.
So Hiral, as a child growing up in a family where your father was also in the business, right, in the business
Yes.
of jewelry,
Yes.
did you have aspirations to become an entrepreneur, to launch your own brand one day?
I wanted to do something of my own always, and I felt like I was not fitting into the whole 9 to 5 work frame where I thought I enjoyed that. It was very comfortable. You got your, I mean, it's something that you get credited immediately on the right time and everything. There was no problems. I had no problems in my work career, corporate life. It was fantastic. But I think there was an urge always to do something of my own, and I wanted to discover something in the e-commerce world. So even though I had no marketing or e-commerce background, I used to support my father for his company profile, and I used to work with developers during my college summer breaks, and I would come to his factory. And what really inspired me was the creation part. So they're into diamond jewelry manufacturing, so there's a lot of creativity, craftsmanship that is behind the scene is what I really enjoyed the most.
Wow.
So yeah.
Okay. And once you finished your education, what kind of job was that? Like you said, you went into accounting. So you did your education in accounting, and then what kind of job did you go into?
So I finished my college and I joined HDFC Bank as a wealth management under the wealth management category. I was one of their interns over there, and I think I really enjoyed the whole financial planning for the customers. They would train us to do that. So I thought, okay, this is great. I'll do this, and then I'll move into the wealth management section, and I'll stay in the banking industry. But I worked over there for 1.5 years. That was a very good experience. But then I thought this is not for me, and I actually landed a very good job at Tilda, which is a rice basmati rice company, and I got a job as a accountant assistant. So when I was doing that job, I realized that this position will not lead me to a higher managerial position because there are lots of steps to really head up there. So I had to do chartered management accountancy course, which was an add-on to my educational qualification to kind of head up. So I finished that, and then I was finance controller for HDFC. for
Finance
Tilda.
controller for
Yeah,
Tilda.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So now you're at a comfortable position. You're at Tilda. You're working as a finance controller, and working on all the account receivables and stuff like that, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. And then how did this idea of starting Carat Craft come into your mind?
So obviously, as I think women are very good with collections. Okay, so the field was fantastic. It was very comfortable. But when I really headed to a different firm, which is I also joined Dubai Properties. After that, I decided that while I was doing that job, there was a lot of free time that was left. Now, when you're in the accounts and audit field, sometimes the timings can be a challenge. They're not ethical all the time because different companies have different timings. So that's when I really realized that I wanted a balance in my work and family life. I was not married back then. So I used to find very less time to, with my family. So that's when I decided that I don't want to continue with this job and I'll support my father in his business and I'll see what I can do there, of my own.
Hmm. All right. So you joined your father in his jewelry business.
That's right. That's right. So he was into. He asked me that there is a position that's open. Or we are looking for, someone in sales department, and we're looking for someone who can do our marketing online. So they were working on a website at that point of time, just a company profile, and they said that we are looking for someone who can do our business development for the find different retailers. And I said, okay, I'll join, and I'll
Yeah.
support you in that. But while I was doing that, there was so as jewelers, like we get a lot of opportunity to step out and go for exhibitions, jewelry exhibitions, where we get to meet different people. When I went for one of these shows, is when I really got inspired to do something of my own because it's a huge market out there and it's a very, very interesting field than what I see in front of the screen, which is numbers all the time. So that was something that really excited me and gave me some kind of like calling, I guess. So right after
Hmm.
I got back, I started working on a profile that I thought I could sell on social media. Actually, I started with Facebook shop.
Facebook
That was my
shop. Okay.
yes, yes. So I made my first profile on Facebook to start, showing about the products that we have and the services.
Okay. Yeah. Tell us more about that. So how does it work really? Like you go on Facebook, you create a is it an online
Yes.
shop?
Exactly. So Facebook used to offer these pages, business pages, where you can like open your shop and you can display certain products. It's still available right now as well, and you could display your products and services. And whoever would be interested to purchase, they would like drop you a message that I'm interested in this item, and then you connect with them one on one, and then you kind of sell. But this was before e-commerce really hit the market. And we had soup.com over here, which was a marketplace. And obviously, people were more familiar with purchasing on that platform because it was more popular. It was a marketplace, and people trusted that brand. So I opened my Facebook shop. That's where
Hmm.
I realized that, okay, there's something like this that exists on social media platform. And social media at that time was different from what we see right now. You had better visibility, more people could be reached, just normally, organically. So nothing the way it is restricted now. But I think that was a good phase of learning for me. And then kept that profile, and then I made my own account on soup.com. So I started selling my dad's jewelry on soup.com.
On actually soup.com is now Amazon, right? Like so, I mean, Amazon bought
Exactly.
Soup and it became
Yeah, yeah.
what we have today as Amazon. So you started selling jewelry on this. Let's talk about that the jewelry part. Like when I was looking at your website, the designs are beautiful and all. There is a sense of there is elegance. There is very it's very classy. Was that like was that your personal choice as well that all the jewelries that you had you bought were that kind, and did it also I mean you kind of brought your own personality into the jewelry?
It happens a lot. I mean, women love jewelry, and I personally admire jewelry a lot. So I think for me, it started right there. I would come to my dad's workshop and I would select some pieces that I like myself. And obviously, my friends and family who knew me, they would say they would like my personal styling. So I think that's where it really started. They would ask about it. Hey, I really like the piece you're wearing. Where did you get it from? And I say I create them. So I started with designing my own pieces initially, very very minimal everyday wear. I think the whole idea of jewelry was very very restricted and very traditional. So people only purchase jewelry when there were special occasions, or if there's a wedding in the house, you purchase the jewelry and you pretty much keep it in your wardrobe because it's so heavy that you cannot really wear it for your regular wear. So the idea was to create something more wearable outside, like you don't need an occasion to wear it. So yeah, it came from there. I mean, the idea kind of hit in that why not do minimal jewelry, which is so popular in places like London, UK, in European countries as well. So that
Yeah.
culture wasn't there in UAE. UAE was known for the big pieces and the bling, and so that was the idea. Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean we see those images, right, where like there are loads of gold, especially for weddings and all people wear a lot of.
sure. Yeah.
But that's a special, that's a different category altogether. So these everyday jewelry, does it ever happen that you go out, you're meeting people, and you see someone wearing Carat Craft?
That's happened actually, and
Yeah,
it's been one of the great milestones for me. So I have joined this networking group very recently. It's been 2 years, not very recent though. So I get to meet different people from different backgrounds, from different industries, and I bumped into someone one of the meetings, and she said that, "What do you do?" And we introduced each other, and she said, "Okay, tell me more about yourself." And when I showed her the page, she recognized the brand and she said, "Hey, I'm wearing the necklace that I purchased from your store." So that's been one of the best, turnaround for me. It's been a great milestone that people around the region are familiar with the brand now because we are, you can say it's a regional brand which is able to cater to these everyday wears.
yeah. Let's talk about that transition here. I mean, you're working for your dad, and you were in helping him grow his the e-commerce before even e-commerce came into existence, or like it was popular enough. But you were helping him on Soup.com, with Facebook. And how did things evolve after that?
So in on soup.com, it was easier. I could just set up the profile, put in my products, put the price, and then you just wait for an order to pop in. Because soup.com does the work for you. They do the marketing, they have the team that is able to like reach the right people. So you're just basically delivering the order. That's the basic work that you have to do as a account holder on soup.com. When we saw a little bit of success on that, when we started receiving regular orders, is when we thought, okay, we can now open our own profile, we can make our own website, and maybe we can sell more variety, and we're able to now create a brand out of this. Had I
Mm.
known it was this easy to do it, I mean, if it was this difficult to do it, I wouldn't have taken that step because at that time, when I worked on my website, it took me about 6 months to prepare the e commerce. And once I launched it, I thought, okay, I'm regularly selling on soup.com under the same brand name. So I'm sure I'm going to get orders here as well. But cut to, no, that doesn't happen because people didn't believe, they didn't trust the brand, they didn't know of the brand. So it's a different story altogether. And you have to really work on building your presence online. There's a lot
Yeah.
of marketing that's needed. So all of that, as accounting background, I had no idea about. All I was worried about was the numbers. Why is it not hitting the mark? I'm not able to, get what I'm supposed to out of the own store. So I continued the marketplace at that point of time.
So you were selling on your website and on Soup.com as well,
That's right.
right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Got it.
Initially.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, what you can launch your website, but then it's all about the traffic that comes to your website, right? Like, how would people know? Like Amazon
Correct.
or Soup.com is something that people know, then they just go there. But in to come to the website, that brand has to be there, and then so tell us about that. Like, how do you reach out to? How do you bring traffic to your website now with all the experience that you have?
Social media, we all live in the world of meta, I think. And social media is making industries, especially like jewelry, beauty, much easier to reach wider audience. And also, it's very aspirational. The platform is such that, you save the right products that you like, you interact with something that's beautiful and something that's blingy, I think. So Instagram is our best way of getting our clients. And also, I think through reels, stories, you can just reach any number of people you want. There's no limit. I think that's the beauty of social media, that you could,
Yeah.
there's no limit to how many people you can reach. It depends on how much you can really market and push yourself. Also, I think another, Google is the king still. If we are able to organically get online traffic right now, at that point of time, it was even more easier to reach different people, because the keywords were less expensive than it is today. And
Mm.
also, I mean, I used to also do it on multiple channels like YouTube, Google, and social media. For now, I think social media is the king.
Okay. So I want to touch upon the part that you launched your own brand, and so you and which is different from your father's, right? Your father had his own business, and then you kind of branched out and you launched your own.
That's right.
Um, yeah, how did that transition go? Like to create a brand of your own, did it require investments? And you had a job that you quit as well, right? So financial. Let's talk about the financial aspect here. Did it require investments, and also how did you manage the fact that once you quit your job, you have one income less now in the family?
It's tough. I mean, when I think of it, that phase, I think what really held me was the consistency and the fact that I believed in the project. I think you get that kind of gut. I think we are very strong with that. We know that this is going to work, and we are just stuck to it till it really conspires into something that we want. So for me, in terms of like my investment, whatever savings I had is how we started the brand. Online is a bit less in terms of investment than you open a physical store. So obviously everything was well managed. We had put aside a particular cost. We knew that this is the kind of expense capital that we would need to start our online business. So we went very, very slow and step by step. Started with a very small website of about 15 pages only. We launched with 50 products, and then we kind of worked on increasing our inventory as and when we got orders. And we offer full customization, so it matches with the profile that we are trying to do.
Brilliant. Yeah, yeah. And customization is one thing that makes it all the more personalized and more special, right? For every
Exactly, of course.
person's. Yeah,
So I think with jewelry, the culture was that before. I mean, before like in UAE, I think retail still is the king, and people want to have that luxury experience of visiting a store, sitting down, picking their piece. But now with the the generational shift that's happening, or even the shift in pieces that they like, which is more minimal, and they want to make it more customized, something that they own of their own, like something that is not existing in the market, and they know it's specially made for them. I think those value adds are there now, and customers understand that and they need it. So they're happy with the process of manufacturing. They know that it will take time for this piece to be made because it's only made for them. So
yeah,
yeah, people like the whole idea of customization. And also jewelry, in even back in India or any other country, they would want their jewelers to make a certain piece for them. So whether you're buying for your wedding trousseau or wedding jewelry, it's a process. You buy
yeah,
an engagement ring, it's a process. So people order it 2 months in advance, and they plan a gift
yeah,
to give for that special occasion. So that's the idea we're trying to do, but in a much shorter time.
yeah. And what's the kind of customers that you get here? Like, is it more of for self, or is it more gifts? And what's the mix like in your
It's
customer
gift.
mix?
It's gift. I think
Yeah,
jewelry. idea for us is to give that accessibility to everyone to purchase either for themselves or to gift. But we get more of requests for the gifting items. So um, I think a lot of men shop from us and they want to gift either their fiancés. There's a lot of promise rings we do, or there's an engagement that's coming and they want to do a surprise. So we mainly get a lot of gifting orders.
Brilliant. And you design them yourself as well, right? Like you create your own designs, you will bring it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have a
Uh,
mix of
yeah.
we have a mix of groups in our we have a mix of collections on our website. We have a set of designers in house that create and design, and there are certain collections that I have made. For example, Ramadan is one of the collections that I have designed, and it's been one of the best experiences for me because I had to do a short course, online and in India, to understand jewelry and coral designing.
So the jewelry that you have, is this more of just gold and diamonds, or are there other varieties as well? I don't know anything about jewelry. Okay, so pardon me for
It's absolutely fine. I think we mainly do diamond jewelry and gemstone jewelry. That's what we specialize in, and we do 18 karat jewelry only because that way we are able to create more designs. 18 karat is a little harder metal, so you're able to do more creation with the gemstones and the diamonds. With that, 21 and 22 is more malleable and soft, so you cannot do much designs on them.
that. Okay. Oh wow, I didn't know this. So 18 karat is more customizable.
It's absolutely, you can do more creations. It holds the stone better,
Mhm.
and it's a mix of metals, which is able to make the gold more solid to hold the stones.
And how is that process of designing something? I'm just thinking, okay, as an outsider, as a complete layman, doesn't know anything about jewelry. Okay, if I look at a ring, a finger ring, which is so the design in that is so tiny, so looks like all this the whole designing happens at a microscopic level. How do you do that?
It is actually, the machines are so interesting. So we have so there are stages of that ring. That ring has really gone through a lot of stages to become that final product. Starting with the sourcing of the stones, then moving to like the designing part. So there's a 3D printing that is now in the market, which is making the job much easier. But earlier we used to do handcrafted. So the gold was completely like polished and handcrafted by the craftsmen. They would do the molding of the ring, bring out that shape, and then fit the stone. Now things are a little more easy to save the time and to create more. So there are 3D machines now which is able to do the same job in like within 24 hours. So technology has really like, I think technology combined with the creativity is what is really standing in diamond jewelry industry right now. So
Yeah.
now it takes about 24 hours for a mount to be made, and then it's the fitting job. But even that involves 4 stages uh, in manufacturing.
Okay. And so, as a designer, when you create your own design, does it ever happen that like the customer says, they want in a particular way, and you realize that in advance you already know that it's not going to look good? Does it? Is there a conflict somewhere? The artist in you, does it? Does it say?
Happens.
Yeah.
Happens a lot because a lot of them so what I love right now is that your customers are not someone who are less knowledge. They know exactly what they want. They have researched the product online. They know they've created their design, and they leave it to you whether this is possible to do or not. And they come up with such creative designs sometimes that put a frame on the ring or put a frame on the pendant and add diamonds around it. So when such things really come in, yes, of course there's always a creative eye to it, and you feel like this wouldn't be possible, it wouldn't hold the stone right. But most of the times, I think they just need to show us the picture of a ready product and we're able to make that. But most of the time it happens, like we are able to deliver that. But
Yeah.
there are sometimes some very, very unique designs which we say that we can't do it. For example, there was someone who came to me and they said that they actually lost their pet dog, and they wanted to convert their ashes into a jewelry, which happens, by the way, in other countries as a keepsake for someone who's passed away. That is something we couldn't cater to because it really requires a very specific type of machinery to create those ashes into either a gemstone or into a metal. So a lot of people do that outside of UAE. I don't know anyone who does it over here, but that was
Yeah.
something unique that came to us, and we couldn't fulfill that order. But I think the client really had a very special request, and it was something I wish I could fulfill for her, but we were not capable at that time.
Yeah. But that's so interesting. I mean, I never knew
Yeah,
that this was even possible. Take
exactly.
ashes into jewelry.
That's true. Yeah.
Wow. And let's talk about the business side of things here, right? So once you decided to launch your own brand, right? You had to hire some people to build your company, and once you registered your company and things like that, right? So talk us through that process. How did that when did you decide to hire, and how did that process go?
So about a year, it was just me and my husband. We started the brand together. So he was someone who has good experience in the retail side, and I was someone who was better with finance and was just learning about e-commerce. So we had to take a lot of risk. Of course, in the beginning, you also fail at certain decisions that you take in the business. Everything doesn't really go right. It's a roller coaster ride altogether. So you learn from the mistakes that you make, and then you kind of build the team. So initially as entrepreneur, we thought that, okay, let me do everything myself. I'll become the marketing manager, I'll learn about it, I'll do the Facebook ads, I'll also developing. Thankfully I didn't tap on that because coding was a different thing altogether. So we did hire a developer on board, and there was a team. In fact, there was a company that we signed up with which was helping us make the website. But in terms of marketing, in terms of creation, graphic designing, all of that, I thought I can do everything in house and I'll do it myself. So there was a point where I was also learning graphic designing. But we do this just because we want to save the time, and we want to be occupied because we feel that everything can be done, but we fail horribly with that. You need the right team to do the right thing. So that came much later to us. It took us about a year to really formulate, see which are the fields that we really need the specialist in. So it started with a good graphic designer and a developer, and then we had an accountant on board, and then the sales team as well.
Mm, got it. Yeah, it's a process, right? It takes time to build that team one at a time. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Because then you're just involved in the operations part, which I think anyone who starts new would feel that they don't want to spend so much on, the wages initially. They want to try and do everything that they can under their sphere of understanding. So you avoid that part of hiring as much as you can, but then you realize that you're really missing out on the sales, the conversion, because you're not able to give a lot of attention to that because you're so involved in the operation work. So
Mm.
yeah, you learn that later with the process. Yeah.
Any other initial challenges that you had that you remember that you comes to your mind right now? Like as when you started, what were the teething issues?
Teething issues, I think, initially was this mainly just understanding the whole jewelry industry, understanding how they are able to like price the product, how are they able to, what designs would work the best. So I had to speak to a lot of my clients, and obviously these are the people who I knew already. Because for me, when I started, I had to approach my family and friends initially, and when they got to know that I am starting something of my own, they started referring me to their family and friends and cousins. So I started taking these personal orders. And what you learn from that is that there are, the kind of jewelry that is popular, more in demand, what designs are working the best among the crowd that you are around. and then you start creating those pieces for them, and you see that there is a good turnaround, because they everyone, it's a very likable thing. It's like jewelry is a lot like, I see that on you and I like it and I want the same thing. So
Mm.
that's what works best over here. I thought I'll do the process of creating my own and something unique, but none of that was appreciated, because people were looking for something they've already seen on someone else. So that made us realize that we want to keep classy designs, something that can be worn anytime, anywhere, whether day or night, and something that can be also a keepsake jewelry, something that they can pass on as well. So a lot of youngsters right now, when I say youngsters, I'm talking about the age bracket, which is about 30, 25, about 25 in fact. They prefer jewelry that is more lightweight and something that they can wear every day and exchange it with the latest design. So they don't stick to one piece. They want to buy all the latest designs that are there and something that's running and popular. So yeah, that's one of the issues. But I that was a good learning for us to kind of see what is really working the best. And
Mm.
e-commerce, I think e-commerce is a huge industry of its own. I wish I did e-commerce education, because Google has its own world, social media has its own world, and there's so much to learn from it,
Yeah,
because it's evolving every day and you have to keep up with that. So just hiring the right people, working with them,
yeah.
it's a
So what
new
would
way every day.
yeah. So what would be your advice to people who are just getting started, especially in this industry? Either let's talk about either e-commerce, someone who wants to do business in e-commerce, or if it's jewelry related business. Anything specific that you would advise people to do or not do?
I think, for me, what has worked the best is that there are a lot of people around you. There's always a mentor. I think for me, I had my mentorship in house. So it was much easier for me to, pick on the right product, pick the right platform to do my selling. So find your mentor. I think someone who can guide you in terms of the business that you're starting with, whether it's jewelry industry or anything else. Once you are comfortable with that, market research is another thing that really helped me a lot. I would regularly visit in-store shops and also see my competitors online onto what they're doing. You learn a lot from them. And the other thing is, of course, knowing the rules and regulations in the country. That even if you want to like start your business, I think there's a whole procedure for jewelers to really go through. So I think just find the right company to help you with the PRO processes and getting your license done, because these are some of the most important things when you're starting your jewelry, especially
Yeah.
gold jewelry market. Yeah,
So find your mentor, do your research, and know the laws and follow know the laws of the
absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. There's a lot of paperwork that's going to be needed. So make sure you have a good accountant as well.
game. Sure. Here, when you look back at your journey as from being as a child who wanted to do something on your own, and then as an accountant and in the field of accounts, and then building your own brand, who would you like to give credit to for your success?
I think my father, he's inspired me from day one to even push me into doing something of my own. He said that, okay, because he's someone who's very creative. He creates his own designs. He works a lot behind the scenes. He was a craftsman himself. So he really knows the process of creation, and he enjoys that. And when I see him coming to me with a new piece that he's made, just try it on, see how it looks on you, and do you like it? Do you like the way it moves? Do you like the sparkle? So he's someone who is always looking forward to create something new and solve any problem that he faces with jewelry. So I've learned those two things from him. One is to keep doing something new, and then the other is to not stop if you face a problem. Try and solve
Yeah,
it, find a solution to it. So yeah, this is something he's inspired me a lot. But I don't
yeah,
know, I just feel like there's a take in life that we have that
yeah.
you know dekhlenge, we'll figure
Yes.
it out, is what I really love, the positivity that the people that I meet, uh, you know, in my community that I see, and they have this attitude of like dekh lenge, will it's okay. Nothing can really stop you from doing what you have to do or you want to do. So just take that first step, and you'll find some way.
Yeah, yeah, and I think this is a very very important point that you mentioned here. The that attitude of like we'll see whatever happens. देख लेंगे जो होगा देखा जाएगा. That's an important uh, attitude to have in business, right? In entrepreneurship.
Yes, because every day is a surprise day. That's what really keeps you going. If you like, there's no problem that you can sleep over. You either have to continue and finish it the same day, or you have to face that same problem the next day. But you will end up finding a solution. So that's what I love about the journey of entrepreneur, which is you every morning you wake up, there is something that is driving you to do the work that you're doing. Of course, passion is one of it, but it's also the drive that you have to,
Yeah.
kind of solve that problem that's lying on the table.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you this. I mean, I think you've kind of touched upon it, which is the, in your experience, what's the difference between being your own boss versus being working as an employee, working as a salary person for a fixed income?
I think having an entrepreneur mindset is what changes everything. When you're your own boss, you know that you're the one driving the force, you're the one motivating everyone to do their work. But when you're working for someone else, if you keep that same mindset of like, I have the ownership of the work that I'm doing, that gives you a different level of confidence in doing the work that you're doing, and your boss look at you in a very different way. They rely on you more because they feel that you're accountable in the work that you're doing. So for me, that was something that supported me to even get into this journey. The previous job that I was working for, I was a finance controller, and my manager was very chilled. I think he felt that I was more of a workaholic than he was. So he used to leave a lot of work on the table, and he would, I think usually finance managers are very, very like hands on for the work that they're doing. But he was someone who was very relaxed. So this is something I learned from him, that when you are a manager or when you're owning something, that confidence of putting the work on your employee or someone who's working for you, giving him that assurity that you're doing the best at what you're doing, and I trust you. When you give that confidence to that person, he's automatically the owner of the work that he's doing. So he makes sure that he will not let anything go wrong. So I think having that mindset is very important
Yeah.
in any
So it's
field that
about taking ownership of no matter what you're doing. Take ownership,
exactly.
100%
Just take
ownership of
ownership.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
Brilliant, brilliant, and what a wonderful journey you've had, and I love that that from you've had that attitude, you've had that mindset of entrepreneurship, right? Even when you were working for someone else, and then you built your own brand out of that. Fantastic journey and fantastic stories. Thanks for sharing that with us. How was your experience being on the Be Your Own Boss podcast?
Amazing. Sachin, thanks a lot for having me here. And I think it's, I love speaking to people, but this is something different. I've never highlighted my own journey. And this has been a good flashback for me also speaking to you. Thanks a lot. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
Absolutely, it was a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, your story with us, and I'm sure we all learn a lot from the story. There's a lot of nuggets of wisdom and learning that we can take from this. Hiral, thank you so much for taking our time and sharing your story with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sachin. Thanks for having me.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that was Hiral Krupesh, the founder of Carat Craft, and you've been watching and listening to Be Your Own Boss.